Hey guys, how you going? The game for this weekend is a rare game with nomads. I have a collection of nomad models, which I've expanded from Operation Ice Storm, as most people have. But nomads isn't really my main faction. It's a faction that I sort of just play every very rare occasion. I think if you want to play nomads seriously, you probably want to get the really useful models, some of the Morans especially, more of the remotes and so forth, intruders, interventors. I've got some of those really cool models, but I have to really fill out my lists generally with just what I have on the shelf. So this is going to be a mission against my regular opponent who's going to be playing JSA, and it's going to be Decapitation. The difference with Decapitation and the new ITS is that you can now get a whole bunch of points by killing their designated target with your data tracker. So this list isn't built specifically to be able to achieve that. It's just built specifically to be a strong nomads list with what I've got to work with. So as always, intruder sniper, such an awesome profile. Because I've got the Reverend Healer model, and I kind of prefer to take the Reverend Moira, I'm going to proxy the healer as the Moira in this particular game with the HMG. Really good, just basic alternative to the Brigada, because she's better at just winning those early face-to-face rolls to clear out an ARO piece. That's her role in the army. Two Spectres, one Fort Observer, and in the second group with the Assault Hacker. Three Chain Rifle Jaguars with the Smoke. Meteor Zond is one that I find really fun, not just to help you out with the repeater, so getting the Assault Hacker into play with the Meteor Zond, but also just bringing it on the side of the table and then turning it into an attack bot with the assisted fire. A couple of Alguacils. Although I've got an Alguacil decoy, you have to tell your opponent which model is really the lieutenant, but at least both sides are on the same playing field. As always, Crack Out Renegades, submachine guns, can't go wrong with them. Alguacil Hacker, Dactari with a Zon bot. You've got to keep the intruder alive, of course, and also the Moira. If she moves out and gets crit by a TR bot when she's trying to remove it, having that Zon bot nearby is really, really important to give her another go at it. And the Transconductor Zons, not just good at AOROs and repeating, but cheap cheerleaders and space for the War Core as well. So let's just have a little look. Here is the picture of the tabletop. Once my Windows actually loads it. Yep, here we go. So for this one, we've used Garth's terrain mat, and we've used a few pieces of terrain from the store used for 40k and so forth, but brought some of his terrain out as well. Looking pretty cool. So if I just draw this out here, I have I've lost the lieutenant's role, but he's chosen the table side that he wanted. The deployment zone for me is over here. So this is Nomad's deployment zone, and for him it's somewhere like along there. And this is JSA deployment zone there. Note that I've got my designated target there, so he's going to be trying to take that out, and his designated target is right there. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do. Crackot, of course, deploying further up. Metachemistry gives him +1 armor biochemistry, and through the back line we've got Alguacil, Transconductor, this model here, which I normally use as a Deva, is going to be the proxy for the Dactari. Lieutenant's just camping out behind the intruder, who's just peering above the side there, above the parapet. Jaguar. There's the hacker back there, and we'll have a look at some more photos for the rest of it. Okay, let's go and have a look at them. By the way, I've deployed a. This is a picture of my hidden deployment for the assault hacker. But the other Spectre is just deploying normally so that we can use his order if we need to. Okay, so from left to right here, as we just saw, we've got a normal Alguacil, Flashball Spot, there's the Dactari, and her Zon bot is right here next to the Moira and the Jaguar. We've got the intruder sticking out, but the Lieutenant prone behind him. Crackot, my designated target. There is my Spectre with the Fort Observing ability is in that building there that I've just circled. On the other side, so there's the Moira there, which we just previously saw, and there are the three Jaguars. I've got the War Core hanging out in the edge of this building just to ARO through along this sector of the table. This Crackot has rolled up super jump and 6 speed, so I've decided to make him my data tracker since he ended up being the one closer to my opponent's designated target, and of course the other Zond and the other Jaguar over there. So that's the picture of the Fort Observing Spectre in the building. And a little look at the left-hand flank of my army. On his side, he has put down an assault hacking Aragoto, but little do I realize it's actually a Luduan using Holo Projector level 1. So a bit more effective when you're going second, because it's not given away until it's, he's ready to shoot. This Nico Oyama is proxying as a Shikami assault pistol contender. Of course, we've got Yojimbo, and he's got a koala here and another koala, I think, behind the building there. Flash pulse spot. Raiden with sniper rifle. Don't see those guys off very often. The missile launcher, the rocket launcher, sorry, is a lot more popular. There's a Kaisotsu Haka and of course the Rushi here. Let's carry on through the deployment zone. So we just looked at these guys through here. He's got the Haka. He's also got his Domaru, which is the lieutenant. My opponent is also building these little platforms on his buildings, which you can use a short skill to change levels, like a little very fast elevator. And on the left-hand side, of course, Kaisotsu Link Team. So the main thing is the missile launcher, which we all know and love. The HMG there, regular guy there. We've got the Kenpai Tai and another Kaisotsu, I think, Forward Observer, and a paramedic right there. So the other auto generators. Oh, and very importantly, that is his designated target, which I'm going to try and have to kill. Unfortunately, I can't really bring on the Meteors on this side because it's going to get killed not just by the missile launcher, but by his Raiden. And if I bring it on the other side, the angle of this piece of terrain is going to make it difficult. But I did roll up a Krakot with super jump, so not super jump, climbing plus, so he's going to be able to climb over there if I can kill the ARO pieces. So the first thing I have to do here is move up the Moira to this point here, and she is going to hopefully gun down the Kaisotsu, but also come in line of sight of their sniper as well. Now, it's really good that she has ODD. That makes her very, very good in this particular role. But I got a bit nervous about this because this is a point in the game where it's always like, if you roll badly, then the rest of the game there's no recovering. I mean, she shouldn't lose to the Kaisotsu, right? But there's always the chance of crits. It's just that if I lose the Moira, this list doesn't have very much else that can destroy a Kaisotsu missile launcher and a Link Team from that long range, if you feel what I'm saying. So once she gets to this point, the photo doesn't show up very well, but somewhere around this area, there is a Raiden sniper. Now, the Raiden decides not to shoot back at her yet, because if he does that, she can shoot him first and probably win. He's waiting for me to engage the Kaisotsu and then shoot, so he's got two arrows at the same time. Now, that's exactly what happens, right? So the Moira, although you can't see the picture very well, she's there. You can actually, if I put some little crosshairs, you can see her little head. The sniper is able to see her, and the missile launcher is able to see her, so it's a bit of a crossfire over the table. What I decided to do was put 3 shots into the Kaisotsu and a single shot into the Raiden sniper and hope for the best, and luckily came out well. I destroyed the Kaisotsu as we expected. The sniper did not kill me, and I did not manage to kill the sniper, so that is fine because I've got more orders which I can use to keep pouring bullets into it. So once the Raiden is revealed here, of course, there he is there. And the Moira is roughly at that position. She can easily just pull around the side of that ever so slightly and kill him. And kill him she does. That's the Raiden down as well. Now, the Krakot moving around here because he thinks this model is an Aragoto. This worked out really well for the Luduan here because the Luduan has a 24-inch Mark 12 range here, which is easily able to beat the Krakot. The Krakot's thinking, oh, okay, well, Aragoto is -3 to hit me with his combi rifle. I'm -3 for long range, -3 for mimetism, so what's that? You know, me shooting 3 dice, there's a chance of killing it. But I got played there, and the Krakot gets killed by the Mark 12. So here's the Moira just repositioning a little bit more carefully. And on the other side of the table, since I've got the other Krakot in group 2, Krakot starts moving out now, and the importance of this is that we know his data tracker is, his designated target is there, where I've marked with the X. And I've now successfully taken out the 2 main arrow pieces, the missile launcher and the sniper. So if the Krakot can actually carefully move along here, he's going to have to cautious move at some point because there's a line which we can draw from the Kaisotsu Link Team through there. But if he can cautious move past and then get into close combat with the designated target, it's a matter of either blapping him with the submachine gun or just berserking him with the chain mine, with the mine, right? Now, once I got to this point, what I'm looking to do here, of course, is to climb down with a vault down, I should say, with a cautious move. But my opponent declared an ARO with Saito Dogan. And I thought, damn, you really got me there. You know, cautious moved out. Saito uses an arrow, and that also means that the cautious move fails, so the Kaisotsus get to shoot me as well. But then after doing that, he rechecked the rules and realized, oh, hold on a second. It says in the cautious move rules in the rule book, right at the end of the paragraph, that a hidden deployment model can't gotcha. You can't hidden deployment to cancel a cautious move. You just can't declare it. So that was news to me. So not only do I now know about Saito Tugan, but the guy gets to move over there successfully. There you go. I asked him if he wanted to roll that back and reveal Saito a little bit earlier, but he decided not to. So yeah, really good spot for the Krakot to be in. And of course, as he walks over the wall, does get killed by the Kaisotsus at this point, but the submachine gun is easily enough to take out the designated target and net me a total of 5 objective points, so a massive amount, but it should be relatively easy for him to do the same to mine later in the game. So here we are here. Saito is at this point. We've got the Warcore and we've got the Moira, hopefully able to dish out some AROs. Okay, so my opponent's turn. Oh, mind you, one thing I want to point out is that this model here is the Spectre Fort Observer. I used some coordinated orders to bring him down the staircase and left him there, unfortunately, because I ran out of orders to reposition him. He's not in a terrible position because he gets to arrow against things which don't really have the capability to get to him. But the thing is, if he's discovered somehow, the Rishi can come around here and pretty easily kill him. So a bit of a derp by me, sadly. Yojimbo heading out this way. There is an intruder which shoots at him. Now, I was dumbfounded that my opponent allowed me to just intruder him. So he throws the smoke. The smoke doesn't stop the intruder from killing him. Hilariously, the intruder fails abysmally and actually misses him. And the smoke goes down. The Moira shoots at him, the Warcore shoots at him, and his smoke roll beats the Moira. So, again, it's extremely lucky that happened, but it shouldn't have. Yojimbo should have just died at that point. So you can see the intruder being revealed by that little carry-on, and the lieutenant, of course, just sitting tight, prone behind him, next to the helipad. The Luduan now, of course, at the start of the turn, the Hollow Echoes come out. As it moves, one of the Hollow Echoes does move past the intruder, which snipes it and removes one of the Echoes. And then when he gets around to here, what happens is that he's put assisted fire onto him here, and the point is that he wants to move around here and shoot at the intruder using the assisted fire on the Mark 12, which is exactly what he ends up doing. The thing is, though, that once he gets around here to shoot at me, he does manage to win the face-to-face roll and unbelievably get 2 hits through on me. But I tanked both of the saves. So, luck goes back and forth. I mean, I should have killed Yojimbo straight away. But the intruder does manage to tank the Mark 12, so I can't be mad at that. Then we've got the Rushi coming out. So the Rushi moving through here, and it's going to be moving along here. And the plan is, now that Yojimbo has unbelievably dumped some smoke down, is the Rushi can easily take out the Moira, which is what ends up happening. Moving through, gunning her down. I think the Kaisotsu is able to take out the Warcore later in the turn, but things going pretty well for him after that intruder mishap. So you can see here, Yojimbo's carrying on, getting some more smoke grenades down, and the Rushi taking out the Moira successfully. We end up with a position where he actually retreats back behind this building just to make him a little bit more safe against the intruder coming around next turn. But notice there's also a Spectre still on the stairway, hasn't been revealed by the Rushi yet. But the thing is, if the Spectre tries attacking, well, there are a couple of crazy koalas there now with Yojimbo able to respond. Okay, so this is the point you see where, okay, the Kaisotsu's gone up on top of the building to replace where the missile launcher was. I do have a Warcore here, so machine gunning, killing the Warcore, which he should have really done earlier in the turn, but hey. Also, we've used the Shikami to come down the elevator, which you can see there, and he's just positioning himself behind this, spending a command token and using a coordinated order to put a whole bunch of guys into suppression fire at some point. But not after the Shikami leaps and bounds up top of this building. He's freely able to do that now that the intruder has stood down as on the deck. Get down! And that's going to allow him to make a leapfrog over in a future turn to kill my designated target, because he needs to catch up to the 5 points that I've got, but it shouldn't be hard to do with that Shikami, mind you. Okay, so back to Nomad's turn 2. The intruder comes down the stairs, and he needs to head out this way. The reason for that is that he needs to find the right angles. Far off in the distance, there is a Kaisotsu HMG, but these little purple and blue plants are saturation zones. They're like forests. So the intruder is from 2 dice down to 1 dice, but he ignores that. He's in perfect range and so on and so forth. If the HMG shoots back, well, no bonus for the link team except for the burst. Can't ignore camouflage, can't ignore the planter, is -1 burst, and is possibly long range against the sniper rifle. So he decides to dodge, gets shot by the sniper, and dies, thankfully. Continuing to move now, just shooting at this hollow echo and removing the hollow echo, so that's fine. But what we're ending up doing is just moving far enough around that we can shoot Yojimbo. So you can see the intruder there, just shooting through here. It turns out that this model is actually the correct Luduan. This is a hollow echo, of course, but all hollow echoes removed by the end of this turn. And then intruder is able to just pick off Yojimbo by moving to that point and then back again and planting a bullet into Yojimbo's face, but not killing him. He does tank some armor saves there. I asked my opponent, well, what's the facing? What's the line of sight facing for your Luduan? And it turned out it was like this. I thought he might have chosen this facing, just so that he can see through there, but also see back through here for when I move my Spectre out. So seeing that gap was entirely clear, the Spectre now moves down. You can see his little blue camo marker here, and now gets into position. So he's moved down the staircase to this point here. He's able to fire at Yojimbo. He does get discovered by the Kaisotsus, but eventually gets into a better position where he can ignore them. So what happens is the Spectre is revealed. There he is there, and he's shooting his combi rifle at Yojimbo and just continues to do so until Yojimbo is destroyed. Now, there's been some alerts, but they weren't very successful, because now our Rambo friend here gets to shoot through this gap and kill the Luduan as well. So that's already 2 deaths, thanks to this heroic Spectre Fort Observer. Moving around the side here, what he's going to try and do is just pull around the corner. Shikami's on top of a roof and prone, so can't do anything about that. But then we can actually move into the JSA backline. So using our slicing the pie tactic, we can see past this thing and get to a point where we can see the flashball spot. First shot failed to kill him, second shot did manage to kill him. We don't really want to take on the Rushi here, of course, because the Rushi ignores our Tio Camo and he's in suppression fire, so bit of a muchness there. It's quite likely that we'd get killed. What we can do, though, is bring on our Meteors on, and rather than doing anything flashy or fancy with them, we're just bringing them on the side here, right? The idea here is that we can then, at the end of the turn, go into suppression fire and just cover off these angles. So if the Shikami starts leaping around, he's got to contend with, the intruder there. And once he jumps over the wall, he's going to have to contend with our friend, the bot, the Meteor. And hopefully that might be enough to protect our designated target, right? There's also the Spectre over here who's put down a mine and is going to be going into suppression fire along with it. So this photo doesn't actually show where the Spectre is. I took this back, but the mine does get planted there. And the point is that the mine should be able to happily do a bit of damage to the Rushi if it decides to move out. So there we go. That little 6-sided dice with a 3 facing upwards represents the suppression fire for the Spectre. The Meteor Zond is in suppression fire as well. The Alguacil at the back and the Lieutenant also in suppression fire. So just covering some background there. I've also moved out this this chap here, this Jaguar. And I did say that Yojimbo had been destroyed, but I just from remembering this game, I don't believe he was destroyed. In fact, that doesn't happen until the following turn. Let's go have a look. Yeah, so the very next order from the very next turn, Yojimbo comes screaming along the battlefield. The intruder shoots him and kills him this time. Should have happened a while ago. That's all right. The Lieutenant Damaru moving to the rescue. So my opponent sees the only way to save the Luduan, because the flash pulse spot's been destroyed. So is the Raiden, and the Brushi's in a bit of trouble. So Damaru moving over here to detonate the mine by dodging it. Even if he takes a wound, he's the Lieutenant and he's still got 2 wounds. So the mine goes off and he fails the dodge but passes the armor save. So now the Rushi is free. So the Rushi is just coming around the other side of the corner, and the plan is to go all the way around the building in a circular fashion, to come right into his back arc. So we'll see how that plays out. At some point, I intend to do a change-facing dodge, but it doesn't end up working. And the Rushi, moving through to kill me, doesn't manage to get me with the first volley, but ends up coming back, and I think, he decides to keep moving rather than coming for a second attempt. Don't forget he does have this Damaru, which can go and take out the Spectre alternatively, but the main plan for him is to get the Rushi going across the battlefield so he can do a bit of damage to my army elsewhere. So that's what he does. Now we get to a point somewhere where there's a line of sight. I think he comes around further, and he gets line of sight to the Meteor Zond. So there's a shootout. Rushi against Suppression Fire Zond. Rushi manages to win that. But here is something really interesting. When the Rushi moves around a bit further to destroy this Jaguar over here, I realized that I could declare an ARO with a designated target because it's got a stun pistol. This is really interesting. Now, we rolled the 4 dice, he kills the Jaguar, and then we realized that I could have ARO'd. And I said to him, do you want to take that back? Do you want to allocate 1 dice to shooting me? And we realized, well, that's really interesting, isn't it? If he does allocate any dice to shooting me, it might mean that he kills the designated target, but only gets his minimum points for it. He needs to leave the designated target alive for the Shikami to kill, otherwise he can't catch up to me with the objective points, if you guys gather that. So the designated target shoots with the pistol, rolls a 3, stuns him, and basically stops the Rambo run, which is amazing, because he still had a couple of orders left to go, which he could have used to destroy the intruder, to destroy maybe the Dactari or more of my Jaguars. So that's a bit of a learning experience there. Don't forget, guys, that your designated target can be a really good ARO piece if it's AROing against things which are not the data tracker in this mission. So that's a really good trick to bear in mind. So does get stunned after all of that. Poor old Rushi, not having a good day. And elsewhere we've got the Damaru moving into contact with the Spectre, just by doing a change phase shenanigans around the corner so he can't get attacked. What I should have done with this Spectre at some point is laid down a deployable repeater, because that would have made it really awkward for him coming through there, knowing that I've got a assault hacker and a regular hacker to make use of the repeater. So now we've got Saito Dagan just trying to be useful, moving through and setting up suppression fire on his own. Nomad's turn 3. So Jaguar moving around the corner, and the Rushi decides to shoot him. I could chain rifle here, but I decided a pistol just because it keeps the Jaguar alive, and the shot's going to hit on 14. So the pistol goes off, does kill the Rushi, so can't be mad at that. Now, the Dactari sees the coast is clear. Dactari moving around the side, Zonbot moving up, and the plan is that I can move them out together and actually revive not only the Moira but the Krakot Renegade. So that's what happens. The Zonbot moves over next to the Moira, and the Dactari moves over next to the Krakot, and luckily revive both of them. Now, what this game's going to come down to is victory points killed. So going from having lost models to having models surviving is a massive difference. It's a huge swing. With that completed, though, the Krakot is able to now start moving out, since his orders are in the other group, and he's able to come round the side here and come into contact with the Damaru. Now, the Damaru is actually a lot better in close combat than the Krakot, but he's got Berserk. Both have Berserk, in fact, and the Damaru is the enemy lieutenant, and this is Decapitation. So the plan is to go into close combat. He'll die straight away, but he's got a chest mine which can Berserk. Here's the interesting thing. Chest mine has 2 charges, but only bursts 1 in close combat. But the thing is, I should be allowed to use the second chest mine because the Spectre, being in close combat as well, gives me a helper bonus. So if I go in there, I should get burst 2. I should use both charges of the mine. And that means that my criticals, if I roll 2 very high numbers, are going to kill the Damaru outright and give me a lieutenant kill, which is going to make a big difference for the scoreboard. Even if I don't get crits, he might even fail the armor saves. So what happens is I give it my best go. There's no better option for him to use than just berserking me back. So the Krakot is destroyed by the Damaru's EM weapon. One of my attacks is a crit, the other one fails, and he passes the armor save. So I end up losing the Krakot for nothing here, but it does give me a chance of getting a crit through with the Spectre. There's a small possibility that might happen. And there was a legitimate chance I could have got him to fail his armor save, and that would have been game there. I would have taken his lieutenant out. Elsewhere, though, the Spectre Assault Hacker finally springs into life, comes around the side of this obstacle, using stealth because Saito is facing the wrong way. So once the Spectre comes around here, we're firing our combi rifle into his back, and with a couple of goes at it, does manage to kill him, which is a big wad of points, so that's quite important. In the final turn, what's happening here is that the Shikami is trying to throw a Nimbus grenade. The reason he's doing that is because the Nimbus grenade is going to make it slightly less likely he'll get shot by the intruder as he vaults over and tries to dodge, right? With 2 rolls, he rolls like a 20 and a 19 and fails them both, so decides to scrap that plan. He's running out of orders and jumps down there anyway. So the intruder shoots, and luckily for him, the intruder misses. So the next thing for him to do is to move around the side and fire his assault pistol into the face of the Dactari, which, unsurprisingly, destroys the Dactari. And then, of course, Data Tracker moving into range of the designated target and killing it easily with the assault pistol. Last action of the game, just trying to net some more points, shooting at my transconductors on here and destroying that as well. And that's the game over. Now, it's basically a tie here because we've both killed our opponent's designated target with our data trackers. We haven't killed any lieutenants. But in the tie-breaking situation, it comes down to who's killed the more army points. Now, we didn't add it up because it looked pretty clear that Nomads had won this. If you guys want to bother going to Army Builder and letting me know if I'm wrong, just let me know if I'm wrong. But I've got a lot of stuff left. I mean, there's the Intruder and the Moira. Together, they're worth 77. I've got one of the Spectres left, so that's another 36. So that's what, 100 and... It's more than 110 already. Well, especially if you put in the 2 Jaguars. We've got all 3 Alguacils left alive, and one of the transconductors left alive. So I've got, half my army left. Whereas my opponent really just has a couple of Kaisatsus, a Kempaitai, the Shikami, and the Domaru. So not as many points. So it was a win to Nomads. After a couple of bat reps with me losing, we're back on the board again, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one.